Golden Radio Hour.
And now, stay tuned for the program that is rated tops in popularity for a longer period of time than any other West Coast program in radio history. The Signal Oil program, The Whistler. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invites you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, The Whistler's strange story, The Lady with the Knife.
It was only 3 in the afternoon, but the hotel cocktail lounge near the railroad depot in Omaha was buzzing with customers caught there between trains. In the darkness of the corner booth, Morley Carr sat with a portly gentleman in the salt and pepper suit. His name was Sam Wilson, and he loved to talk. Morley, on the other hand, loved to listen. Yes, in his kind of business, he often found it profitable to strike up an acquaintanceship with an overindulgent stranger in a bar. And the minute he saw the man in the salt and pepper suit, Morley smelled money.
China? Do I know China? Listen, mister, I know China like the palm of my hand. From Beiping to Hong Kong.
You spend a lot of time there, Sam?
6 years.
That's so.
Been fired off every English-speaking newspaper in the Orient.
Here you are, gentlemen, a pair of tall ones.
Ah, it's great. Tell him to get working on 2 more.
That'll be $1.20.
Oh, here, let me get
No. This is
Sam?
my party. Here, waiter. Keep a change.
Thank you,
Oh,
sir.
now, Sam, you shouldn't have done that. It was my round.
Oh, forget it. I like you, pal. I like the way you talk. Like the way you wear clothes. You know, if I had the crust, I'd offer to buy that checkered overcoat you got on.
Oh?
Hey, where'd you get it?
I got it in London.
I thought so.
Mm-hmm.
I could pick that check out of Times Square in the rush hour. Very distinctive.
What do you plan to do now, Sam?
Retire?
Oh, that takes money.
I got it. Right here in my pocket. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I beat my brains out for 20 years in the newspaper business. Never make a dime. Then, bingo, my card comes up. And old Sam has the key to $250,000 right in his pocket.
$250,000?
Sure. Just like the song. Let me see, how does it go? I'm always chasing rainbows, watching clouds drifting by. My schemes are just like... I don't feel so hot, pal. Oh, my head.
Well, that's that. Waiter.
Yes, sir?
Hey, will you help me get Mr. Wilson upstairs to his room? Looks like the party's over.
It sounds a little fantastic, doesn't it, Morley? But it's worth looking into. $250,000, he said, and something about the key to it in his pocket. The waiter helps you get him to his room, lay him on the bed, and you walk down the hall a few doors to your own room, already thinking of the approach you're going to use on your new friend Sam when he comes around tomorrow. 10 minutes later, you hear voices and movement down the hall that brings you to your door. You open it quietly.
That noise. Wonder what's going on. Uh-oh. Came from Sam's room.
A girl leaves Sam's room, passes close to you as she hurries down the hall. You get a good look at her. Black hair, a pretty face, but hard. As soon as she turns the corner, you run down the hall. Sam's door is still unlocked. He's still on the bed, Morley, right where you left him. But now there's a knife in his back. A second later, you see the reason. His inside coat pocket, the one he patted when he talked about the key to the $250,000, is empty.
Oh, Dorman.
Yes, sir?
Yeah, I'm looking for a young lady, black hair and a fur jacket. Did you see her leave?
Why, yes, sir. She got into a taxi only a minute ago.
Taxi. Which one? Do you know the driver?
Well, I don't know his name, sir, but this is his regular station. He ought to be back in a few minutes.
Thanks. How about it, driver? Did you see her?
Black-haired dame in a fur jacket. You know, it's awful hard to remember sometimes.
All right, here. Maybe this'll help.
Thanks. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do remember now. Took her to a hotel on the other side of town, picked up her baggage, and brought her back to the station. She got on the 706 for San Francisco. Pulled out a half hour ago.
You got a good memory. Look, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Wait here for me.
Right. Where to?
The airport.
Some Whistler fans with whom I was talking before the program started said to me, "Marvin, we're not doubting your word, but you say such wonderful things about Signal Ethyl. It's hard to believe any gasoline could be quite that good." Well, frankly, friends, I'm hoping you won't just take my word for it. I'm hoping you'll be so intrigued you'll want to find out for yourself. For instance, if you're skeptical when I tell you about Signal Ethyl's trigger-quick starting, there's an easy way you can prove it. If it sounds too good to be true when I enthuse about Signal Ethyl's peppy pickup, there's an easy way you can prove it. And if it seems too much to expect that Signal Ethyl will let you purr up hills in high while other cars shift and clatter, there's an easy way you can prove it. How? Why, by driving into any Signal service station and treating your car to a tank full of Signal Ethyl. When you bear down on the accelerator pedal and feel that sweet, sweet performance, my bet is you'll say that Marvin Miller was sure right about Signal Ethyl.
Well, Morley, if there were any doubts in your mind about the key to the $250,000 Sam Wilson was prattling about, they're gone now. His body, lying on the bed in that Omaha hotel, that empty pocket in his coat, and above all, the lady with a knife, all tell you that it's real. That if you play it smart, part of that $250,000 is yours. That's why you're standing in the terminal in San Francisco now, as the passengers from the 706 from Omaha come down the ramp. A minute later, you see her, follow her to a cab, and hear her direct the driver to a hotel on Eddy Street.
Yes, sir.
Say, I heard a friend of mine was registered here. The name's Bradley.
Bradley?
Yeah.
Here, I'll check the guest list.
If you will, thanks. Take a look now.
We don't seem to have a Bradley registered.
No. Not here, huh? Well, thanks.
Not at all.
Lucille Lacey, room 402. You saw it, didn't you? The last name on the register. Lucille Lacey, the lady with a knife. Directly across the street, there's another hotel, a small one, a little ragged at the edges. You take a room, then station yourself in the lobby where you can keep an eye on the entrance of the Brighton across the street. And during the next few days, you follow Lucille Lacey everywhere. But it's not until the fourth day that she makes a move that means something. A pawn shop on 3rd Street, run by a man you know, a man named Cardoza. You wait in the store entrance until you see her leave, then walk across for a word with him, a furtive, cautious man with a nervous habit of doodling on a scratch pad as he talks to you across the counter.
A little bit like old times, Molly. Having you back in town?
Just passing through, Cardoza. How's business been?
I'm getting by.
Oh, just getting by, huh?
That's all.
Mm-hmm.
You, looking up all your old friends?
No, I'm here on business.
Big?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know yet. Can you take care of me?
Maybe, I ought to know more about this business.
Maybe I'll leave it at that for the time being. So long, Cardoza. Don't take any wooden diamonds.
Well, Morley, you know a good deal more than you did before. Cardoza's main stock in trade is jewelry, and this time it's $175,000 worth. At least that was the figure Cardoza was doodling on his scratch pad. It's the biggest thing you've ever run across. You're really careful with Miss Lacey now. Watch her like a hawk. And the next day you follow her to a shabby office south of Market Street. You watch the entrance until she comes out, and then hurry across the street and up a flight of stairs. Faded gilt lettering on a frosted glass door tells you who Lucille was calling on this time. Zach Chambers, private investigator.
Looking for somebody, mister?
Yes, I'd like to talk to Mr. Chambers.
The boss isn't in just now.
Oh?
You want to leave your name?
No, that's all right. I was supposed to meet a young lady here, Miss Lacey. If she comes in, would you...
Lacey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was just in. Coming back at 3 o'clock.
You think Chambers will be back before then?
You better. I haven't been to lunch yet.
I see. Look, if you don't mind, I'd like to wait. I haven't anything else to do.
Go ahead. You'll find a chair in his office.
Chambers?
Yeah, that's right. My secretary tells me you've been waiting a couple hours.
Uh-huh. Look, we got about 20 minutes, Chambers. I'll get right to the point. I want you to do me a favor.
Oh, I'm not exactly in the habit of
There'll be a fee in it for you, of course, a good one.
Yeah?
You got an appointment with a girl at 3 o'clock.
I have?
Yeah, your secretary told me.
She talks too much.
It's all right. I've been following this girl for some time.
Well.
No. It's nothing like that. I'm a friend of her husband's. She ran out on him.
Happens every day. Why don't you stay out of it?
And this is different. She really loves the guy. She's just mixed up.
Aren't they all?
I promised him I'd talk to her, and so far I haven't found the opportunity.
Doesn't she know you?
No, that's what gave me the idea.
You're way ahead of me, pal.
I'd like to take your place, Chambers.
Huh?
When she comes here to talk to you.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
There's really nothing wrong. You know how people pour their hearts out to strangers, and I figured it'd give me a perfect chance to talk her into going back to her husband. Well, what do you say?
Oh, I can see your point. It seems like a neat way to get to her. What was it you said about money?
What's your usual fee?
30 a day in expenses. Only, this is a rather unusual case.
Can we make it 50?
Yeah, let's. What'd I do?
Where's your secretary?
Out to lunch?
All right, keep her out and stay away yourself for a couple of hours. Oh, where can I hang my coat?
That closet in the corner. $50 for doing nothing. That's not bad. Of course, there isn't a chance I won't get...
You come back at 5, I'll give you the money then. That is, if she keeps the appointment.
Okay, pal. One more thing.
Yeah?
You're a very interesting liar.
You sit behind Zach Chambers' desk, thumbing a magazine, waiting. And then, just before 3 o'clock...
I'm Miss Lacey, your secretary.
Oh, I know, Miss Lacey. I've been expecting you. Have a chair.
Thank you.
A cigarette?
No, thank you. Mr. Chambers, I'm worried. I don't know exactly how to explain
Well,
it.
the first thing I'd do is relax, Miss Lacey. Certainly nothing can happen to you here.
I'm not so sure. There's someone following me, Mr. Chambers. A man. He's been following me for days.
Oh? Any idea why?
Not the slightest.
You know, of course, Miss Lacey, for me to be of any real help, you'll have to take me into your confidence.
I'm telling you all I know.
Did you, get a close look at him?
No, he's been too careful.
Mm-hmm.
But he's tall, about your build, wears a checked overcoat.
A check? Well, that should help. Just what do you want me to do?
Well, if you could find out his name, where he's staying.
That's all you want?
That's all.
Okay. I'll see what I can find out, Miss Lacey. Oh, where can I reach you?
I'm staying at the Brighton.
The Brighton, check.
Do you suppose you could have something on this by tonight?
Possibly. Will you be in?
Oh, yes, all evening. Oh, and how much will you want?
Oh, yes, the fee. Well, I usually get $30 a day in expenses, but you're asking me to work pretty fast.
I'm aware of that.
Okay, Miss Lacey, let's say $50, huh? That ought to cover everything.
30, 40, $50. Okay, pal, all here.
How'd you make out?
Oh, we had a nice talk. It's like I told you. She's a confused girl.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll be running along. Thanks for the cooperation.
Thanks for the fee. Hey, wait a minute. You forgot your overcoat.
Oh, yeah. Say, you like that check coat, Chambers?
Yeah, it's a knockout.
It's yours.
Huh?
The lady. She doesn't like it on me. That's why I came here to tell you.
But, Mr. Chambers, you're sure it was the right man?
Well, how could I miss with that checked overcoat? Anyway, I didn't have to look very far. He came up to my office right after you left.
He followed me there?
That's right.
Who is he?
He's a pretty big guy, Miss Lacey. Name's Morley Carr. You ever hear of him?
Morley Carr. No. How do you mean he's big?
Oh, he's an international jewel thief. Anything that comes along has money in it. Big money.
I see.
You know, I'm beginning to think that $50 deal I made with you is too cheap. You may need some help, Miss Lacey.
I'm not asking for help.
What's he after? He tried to sound me out about you, or rather, buy me out. He offered me a deal.
Where does that leave us?
Oh, well, I figured I'd talk to you first. Of course, he's coming back, and I have to tell him something.
You can tell him you're not for sale.
Oh, but I am. You don't have to tell me how big this is. With Carr in it, I know it's big. It's too big for anyone to handle alone. You might as well admit that right now.
Well, maybe you're right.
Have we got a deal?
Well, something has to be done about Carr.
Why don't you leave that to me?
No, just give me some time. I've got to think. When's he coming back?
Tomorrow night.
Wednesday. It's got to go one way or the other before Thursday morning.
Why?
Oh, never mind now. When I decide what I want you to do, I'll get in touch with you.
Okay. Oh, say, you mind if I take the paper along? I haven't read it.
I'm through with it.
Thanks. Well, so long, boss.
You're playing it close, Morley, but you're in the home stretch now. The newspaper from Lucille's room, folded open at the page covering steamship arrivals, with a check mark opposite the entry, SS President Grant, Pier 37, Thursday a.m. It's important to stay close to Lucille now. And there's a way to do that, isn't there, Morley? It's brazen, but it's sure. Early Thursday morning, you call her.
Hello?
Miss Lacey?
Yes?
Zach Chambers.
What do you want?
I just called to tell you not to worry anymore. That man in the checked overcoat, he's been taken care of.
What do you mean?
Just that. Your worries are over.
What did you...
Hello? Hello?
And that's what Gertrude said, Julie.
Oh, but that's very silly, Donald. I didn't say any such thing.
Oh, hey, what's wrong here? Operator!
Hello?
Operator, I was talking to...
I'm sorry, sir. I'll reconnect you. Hello? Hello, Mr. Chambers?
Yeah, somebody cut in on us. Did you hear what I was saying
Give it,
about...
will you? Not on the telephone. Come over here right away.
Sure thing, boss.
You shouldn't have been so careless on the telephone, Mr. Chambers.
Why not? I might have been talking about a fuller brush, man.
But you weren't.
Let's forget it. Well, you going somewhere?
Why?
Bags. All packed.
Oh, I just decided to move, that's all.
You, check out yet?
Not until morning, no.
Oh. Well, what about our deal? You decided anything?
I guess you're right. It's too much for me to handle alone.
You're smart. Hey, you gonna let your hair down?
Take a look in that desk drawer. There's something you ought to see.
Okay.
And you see it the minute you open the drawer. Sam Wilson's wallet. And on top of it, a baggage claim check stamped SS President Grant. You smile, glance up at the mirror over the desk, just in time to see a razor arm behind you, a knife in her hand.
No, you don't.
Go of me.
Not a chance, you little... Always a knife with you, isn't it, baby? Always a knife.
For a moment, you stand there trembling, staring at the body of Lucille Lacey. Then you walk slowly over to the desk, pick up Sam's wallet and the baggage check.
SS President Grant, B-102-38.
You have it now, Morley, the key to the whole thing. A baggage check marked with a number and the name of a ship. One more thing now, as you let yourself out of Lucille's room. Do not disturb. 15 minutes later, you're waiting at the baggage window at Pier 37. The clerk looks at the baggage claim check, walks slowly past the rows of bins, and finally settles on a small black box.
There you are, sir. It just came in on the Grant. One portable typewriter.
A typewriter?
That's yours, isn't it? Let me look at that check again. B-102-38.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thanks very much.
Seabrook Hotel, that's on Eddy Street, ain't it?
That's right.
You can't wait any longer, can you, Morley? As the taxicab weaves through traffic, you open the portable typewriter case on the floor where the driver can't see.
Nothing here. Wait a minute.
You turn the typewriter over and get out your pocket knife. Poke at the bottom of the case. The point of the knife suddenly finds a soft place.
Here we are.
The lining comes off, revealing a cotton pad underneath. You pluck it out, and the bottom of the box seems to burst into flame.
Diamonds. Holy cow. What a payoff.
The automobile battery you buy this winter may have to last a long time. You can be sure it'll last if it's the extra long life Signal Deluxe battery, built to last up to 2 1/2 times as long as ordinary batteries. That's right, Signal Deluxe batteries are guaranteed for 2 1/2 years on a service basis. What's the secret of this amazingly long life? It's Signal's microporous all-rubber separators, which have been called the greatest battery improvement in 20 years. Because these unique separators hold twice as much acid solution between the plates, you get up to 35% more power from a Signal Deluxe battery. That spells quicker starting, plus plenty of power to spare for your radio and other electrical gadgets. Yet this dependable trouble-free performance actually costs less per month because of that 30-month guarantee. Even less than you think. For Signal dealers will trade in your old battery, and liberal credit terms are available. So this time, play safe. Go to a Signal service station for the battery you get and then forget for 2 1/2 years. The Signal Deluxe Battery.
Well, it began with a hunch, didn't it, Morley? With a solid, sure feeling that the man in the salt and pepper suit back in that bar in Omaha had money. And it paid off on a dock in San Francisco when a baggage clerk put a fortune in smuggled diamonds into your hands. As the cab pulls up in front of your hotel, you know the important thing now is the time, that you have to be out of town before Lucille Lacey's body is discovered in her hotel room across the street. The lobby is almost deserted when you enter. A tired-looking gentleman is reading the paper in a chair near the window. And the clerk, as usual, is wrapped up in his magazine.
308, please.
Oh, yeah.
And get my bill ready. I'm checking out in 10 minutes.
Just a minute. Brady,
Yeah?
this is the man, 308.
Huh? What are you...
All right. Keep your hands on the counter. Take a look, buddy. Headquarters.
Oh, look, I don't know what you...
This the guy who made the call, clerk?
Yeah, the one the operator told you about when she called headquarters. Smart girl.
The operator?
Yeah. The one who was on duty when you placed that telephone call a couple of hours ago. Got kind of gabby, didn't you? Something about taking care of the guy in the checked overcoat?
Oh, well, that was only a gag, officer. I was kidding. You see...
You got a queer sense of humor. A guy named Zake Chambers was found dead in an alley this morning.
You...
With a knife in his back. Know anything about it?
Knife? What are you trying
And he was wearing a checked overcoat. The papers hit the streets an hour ago.
Oh, listen, officer. I don't know anything about it. When I called her, I was kidding. Don't you see? I was
Who
just...
were you kidding?
The lady at the Brighton across the street, room 402. Made a note of it right here on the register.
Listen, you gotta let me explain. I had nothing to do with killing that guy.
We'll get to that later.
Later?
Yeah. At the moment, I want to see how your girlfriend across the street took the joke about the guy in the checked overcoat.
No. No, wait a minute. You can't...
Come on, mister. Let's go over and talk to the lady in 402.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at the same time. Signal Oil Company has asked me to remind you that there's an easy way we can all help to make this holiday season happier for ourselves and others. Drive at sensible speeds, be courteous, and obey traffic regulations. It may save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman, John Daner, and Betty Lou Gerson. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Harold Swanton and Joel Malone, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler is entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Remember at the same time next Sunday, another strange tale by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil Company. Stay tuned for Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Signal Oil program, The Whistler. That whistle is your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler.
Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
Yes, friends, it's time for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, rated tops in popularity for a longer period of time than any other West Coast program in radio history. And Signal gasoline is tops, too, tops in quality. It takes extra quality, you know, to give you extra mileage. And Signal is the famous Go Farther gasoline. So look for the Signal circle sign in yellow and black that identifies independently operated Signal stations from Canada to Mexico. And now the Whistler's strange story. Hired Alibi.
The dry desert heat that enveloped the highway seemed to add to the pressure and anguish tormenting the lone man in the swiftly moving automobile. Paul Burns' hurried trip to Los Angeles had proved useless. There wasn't a chance of escape for him now, and he was forced to drive back and face his wife, Edith, tell her that he had failed. If only there was a way out, someone he could turn to talk it all over and perhaps somehow find a way.
Hey, how about a left?
Huh? Oh.
Thanks, friend.
Almost didn't see you.
Out here?
I, got things on my mind.
That's probable.
When you're driving with the sun in your face, it's sometimes hard to see anything but the white ribbon in the road.
How far are you going?
Flagstaff. Then 50 miles north
I'll get out at Flagstaff.
All right. A little warm for this time of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, the weather's warm. As for what happened in the election, I'll agree with you. That's how I pay for my ride, isn't it?
High talking? No. It isn't necessary. I just
Go
thought...
on. Pick a subject. Only keep it down to my level.
Since you seem to limit yourself, perhaps you should decide.
Okay. Women, sports, towns, automobiles.
All right. Automobiles will do.
Yes, Paul. It's good to have someone to talk to. Only your interest is not in the relative performance of various automobiles, but in this young man himself. He's rough and hard, but oddly handsome. And as you drive along, you begin to speculate about him. Wonder vaguely if you haven't seen him somewhere before. And suddenly it comes to you, Paul, and you tense with excitement. If it's true, it can change a lot of things, can't it? Yes, but you've got to be sure.
Something wrong?
No, I just noticed I'm out of cigarettes. I thought I'd pull in at that cafe up ahead.
Oh, sure.
Would you mind running in for me?
Hey, look, you sure you're not just tired of my company, maybe?
Of course not. Here, get a pack for yourself.
Thanks. Thanks, I'll do that.
You wait nervously, Paul, until he disappears into the little roadside cafe. Then immediately you turn around and pick up the newspaper on the back seat. His picture stares up at you from a newspaper dated early in the week.
Norbella. He's Joe Norbella.
Yes, Paul. Your hitchhiking friend is Joe Norbella, a fugitive, wanted by the Los Angeles police for killing a theater manager during a holdup. You hide the paper in the back and force yourself to relax as Joe comes back and climbs into the car.
There you are.
Oh, thanks.
Here's a change. Light?
Sure. Thanks.
Okay.
What do you do for a living, son?
Odd jobs. I like to keep on the move.
You said you were going east. Any particular spot?
No particular spot.
I bet you wouldn't like where I live.
Okay, I'll play. Why?
I'm Paul Burns, general manager of the Silver Canyon Mine.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
No. Just my way of explaining why we're tucked away up in the hills. You wouldn't like that, would you?
Wouldn't I?
You're a young man. You'd probably find it very dull.
Probably.
Well, the population of the town nearby is about 600. Yeah, called Silver, but we refer to it as Hermit's Heaven.
That's nice.
Now, we're so far off the main highway, we have hardly any contact with the outside world.
I've heard of worse places.
You, wouldn't be interested in going to work for me. Pay's very good.
Yeah?
I'll even throw in living quarters.
You would, huh?
Yeah. You'd be sort of an all-round handyman. It's difficult getting young fellas to work in an out-of-the-way place like a silver mine.
Yeah, I guess it is.
I don't blame them. Working up there is next to disappearing. But it's $75 a week to start with.
75, huh?
What do you say? What is your name, by the way?
Joe. Joe Webster.
Well, Joe, how about it?
All right. You got a deal, Mr. Burns. When do I start?
As soon as we get there. And, Joe.
Yeah?
I think this is going to work out fine for both of us. Just fine.
With the prologue of Hired Alibi, the Signal Oil Company brings you another strange story by The Whistler. If you're one of those folks who like to carry a pocket calendar, you're probably wondering where you're going to get your new one for next year. Well, worry no more, because your Signal dealer is now offering free the neatest little pocket calendar you've ever seen. These Signal pocket calendars are just the right size to fit in a man's wallet or milady's handbag. They're made of moisture-proof plastic, so the numbers will stay legible and the edges won't fray from wear. And they're printed in attractive colors with all the holidays indicated in red. Of course, like all good things, they'll no doubt go in a hurry. So if you want one of these Signal pocket calendars, I'd suggest that you stop in for yours soon. Remember, they're free. And remember where? At your nearest Signal service station. And now back to the Whistler.
It was a strange meeting, wasn't it, Paul? Two men brought together on a lonely Arizona highway. You and Joe Norbella. Joe, a fugitive who tells you that his name is Joe Webster, and that he'll be happy to take a job at the mine you operate. It all fits together, doesn't it, Paul? Making a pattern of escape for you. A simple but clever one. And all you have to do is be careful, not let Joe become suspicious. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning when you turn off the highway. Wave to the guard as you drive through the gates of the mine property and up to the house. Joe seems more relaxed now, doesn't he? But you know that you must be patient, go easy. And you try to be casual as you lead him into the house and back through the hall to the guest room.
I hope you'll find this comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, looks fine.
We'll talk about your job in the morning. It's late, and I don't want to wake the family.
Sure.
Well, good night, Joe. Just make yourself at home. Edith, wake up.
What? Oh, you're back, Paul.
Yes.
Did you get the money?
No, John didn't have it.
Fine, brother.
He didn't have it, that's all. Don't worry.
Don't worry. How can I help it? Went through the books again tonight. There isn't any way to cover the shortage. You've used $14,000 of the company's money.
Maybe so, Edith, but we're not beaten yet. Is Ruthie home?
Yeah, she's asleep. Nothing on her mind.
And she's not going to have either. I won't have her involved in this. Let me handle it my way.
Like the way you handle the 14,000 making those surefire investments?
Well, you thought it was a great idea while I was doing it. Go wake Ruth and tell her to come in. There's something I want to discuss with both of you. Something important.
All right, Paul. I hope you know what you're doing.
Hello, Dad. What's on your mind?
I'm sorry to wake you, Ruth.
It's all right. Something happened?
No, honey. Did you have a nice time while I was gone?
Nothing unusual. Went bowling with Eddie, saw a couple of movies. Same old thing, you know.
Paul, what did you want to tell us?
Oh, yes. Well, I wanted you to know tonight so there wouldn't be a lot of questions in front of Joe when you meet him in the morning.
Joe? Who's Joe?
Joe Webster. A very nice young man, Edith. He's going to work for me in the office.
Oh, I see.
He's going to live with us here in the house. In fact, he's up in the guest room right now.
Paul, here in the house, why would you have
It's very simple, Edith. I need help in the office. You know how difficult it is to get a good man to come all the way out here.
Well, yes, but don't you think
All I ask of you is to make him feel at home. Be nice to him. And don't ask too many questions.
Questions? What do you mean?
Well, it's just that, well, there's been a little unhappiness in Joe's life. I'm sure he'd rather forget about it.
Well, okay, Dad. Whatever you say, if he's that important to you.
He is, Ruth. Very important.
For the first time in months, you sleep peacefully that night, knowing that everything is going to turn out all right after all. And the next morning at breakfast, you're completely satisfied with the warm, friendly welcome Edith and Ruth give Joe. That's important, isn't it, Paul? Yes. Joe Webster must be happy here. He mustn't become restless and want to leave. Not until you're ready to put your plan into operation. And then after breakfast, you lead Joe down the path to the office.
You think you're going to like it here, Joe?
Yeah, I like it. So far, no complaints. Maybe I'm wrong, but I sort of got the idea I'm supposed to go on living with you at the house. That right?
Of course. I want you to feel right at home, Joe.
Well, that won't be hard. You got a nice family. There's only one thing bothers me.
Well, what's that?
You.
What?
Now, look, you don't know me. You pick me up off the highway, you give me a job. Next thing, I move right in like I'm one of the family. Why?
Well,
Now, don't tell me that you've always wanted a son. I couldn't take that.
No, I'm not going to tell you. It's just that it's hard to get a young man to stay in an out-of-the-way place like this.
Yeah, but why put me up in your own home?
Just one more inducement. It's hard to find good boarding places around here. Besides, it's convenient for me. I won't have to go looking for you if I want you after hours. Now, here we are. What have you got to lose by staying here, Joe?
Nothing, I guess. Nothing at all.
That desk over there will be yours, Joe.
You want me to sit behind a desk?
What's wrong with that?
Look, put me on an engine. Give me a pick and shovel.
Oh, but, Joe, I need you here in the office. Work isn't hard. Typing records, time cards, payrolls.
I'm a little better with a bulldozer than a Remington.
You'll learn. Anybody can do this work. It won't be too difficult, believe me.
I still don't get...
Don't back down on me now. I need you here in the office. To be perfectly frank, I've been counting on it.
You have? Well, that's the way you want it, okay, but you may be sorry.
I don't think so, Joe. I don't think so at all.
And so another step in your plan has been successfully completed, hasn't it, Paul? Joe Webster has been installed in the company office. And now it's only a matter of time, a matter of waiting, a month or so, until you're ready to make the final move. But as the days go by, you notice with dismay that Joe is becoming restless, impatient with his new job. And you wonder perhaps if you're not going to be forced to bring things to a head quicker than you'd anticipated. You go out of your way to make everything pleasant as possible for him, urging Ruth and Edith on, insisting that they keep him entertained. And then one afternoon at the end of the second week, as you return from an inspection tour of the mine, you step into the office.
Joe!
Joe! Panic suddenly sweeps over you. As you hurry across the office to the storeroom, you're certain now that the one thing you feared most has happened.
Joe! Joe!
Frank Nelson speaking.
Johnny, have you seen Joe Webster?
Webster? Yeah, Mr. Burns. He came through here a couple hours ago. One of the boys gave him a ride into town.
Into town? What for, do you know?
Well, beats me, Mr. Burns. Oh, he did ask me about the bus schedules, the Flagstaff. Maybe
The bus? I see. All right, thanks.
Slowly you cross the room and slump down into your chair behind the desk. He's gone. Joe Webster is gone, and he won't be back. You're certain of that, aren't you, Paul? He's walked out on you, and your plan has collapsed. You stare at the date on your calendar, a date circled in red, little less than a month away. Only a miracle can save you now. You lean back in your chair and stare out the window. Watch the distant hills turn from gold to purple, and then fade from sight as darkness sweeps in over the desert. Then, wearily, you walk back up the path to the house.
Oh, Dad, I was just going to call you. Dinner will be ready in a... Oh, where's Joe?
He's gone, Ruthie.
Gone?
This afternoon.
Oh, but why? Did he say...
He left without a word.
Oh, I see. Well, that's that. Dinner will be ready in a few minutes,
All
Dad.
right, Ruthie. All right.
Paul.
Hmm?
Why don't you eat your dinner?
Oh, I'm not hungry.
Oh, nonsense. Now, you eat your dinner. Joe walked out on you, he walked out, that's all. Brooding about it won't bring him back.
It's not that. I'm just not hungry.
Dad,
Yes.
did Joe mean so much to you that leaving upset you so that you can't even eat?
Oh, no, of course not. I'm just tired, that's all.
Really? Dad,
Oh, what was that?
The front door. Somebody just...
Joe!
Sorry to be late.
Joe, I thought you'd left us.
Well, things were kind of quiet around the office this afternoon. I didn't think you'd mind if I went into town. Had to buy a couple of things.
Oh? Oh, of course.
Yeah, I figured as long as I was going to be a white-collar worker, I ought to look the part.
Joe, you haven't had your dinner?
No, I haven't. I expected to get back earlier, but I had a little trouble picking up a ride.
Well, sit down, Joe. I'll get you a plate.
So you thought I'd walked out, huh?
Yes. The guard at the main gate told me you'd asked about the bus schedules, and I thought you'd walked out on me.
You want to know something?
Huh?
I was walking out on you, but I changed my mind before I got to the bus depot. I figured it'd be a lot smarter move for me if I stayed.
Good. I'm glad you changed your mind. You have no idea how glad I really am, Joe.
You're certain you know why Joe Webster changed his mind, aren't you, Paul? Because he realized he'd be better off here, hiding out at the Silver Canyon mine, rather than risk capture on the open highway traveling from town to town. Yes, you're greatly relieved now that he's back, but you're not going to take any more chances. You're going to move swiftly before Joe has the opportunity to change his mind again. That night after dinner, as the four of you are drinking your coffee, you decide to waste no time in setting up your next move. But that means working with Edith alone, and somehow you've got to get rid of Joe and your daughter Ruth for a few hours.
Look, why don't you youngsters drive into town? See a show or something, huh?
I'd love to, but, well, maybe Joe doesn't feel
No,
like it.
sounds okay to me. I could stand a movie.
Oh, swell.
You might show Joe around town, Ruthie. It's not much of a place, Joe, but, well...
It's not the place. It's who you're with. Ready, Ruth?
I'll get my coat. Why don't you bring the car around?
Be careful driving, Joe. Ruth is my pride and joy. She's all we have.
Okay.
Have a nice time.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
What are you up to, Paul?
As soon as they've gone, I'll run down to the office and get the books, Edith. We've a lot of work to do.
Wish I knew what you had on your mind.
You will, my dear.
But the auditors will be here in a month. Less than that. I've tried not to worry.
Listen to me, Edith. It's all going to work out. We'll be in the clear. All we have to do is fix the books.
But how?
We'll arrange the books so that the money that's missing will be listed as cash on hand.
Oh, what good will that do? When the auditors go to the safe, they won't find the money. Then what?
Don't worry. I'll be able to account for it. Every penny of it.
2 days later, you decide the moment has arrived at last. You can't delay another minute. Yes, everything is quite in order now, isn't it, Paul? Throughout the day, you fight to remain calm, unconcerned. And that evening, as you retire to your room upstairs, you don't sleep. You listen to the clock tick away the minutes. Your eyes are wide open. The hours drag on. And then, shortly before 2 a.m, you slip out of bed and dress quickly. Moments later, you hurry to Joe's room.
Joe. Joe!
What do you want?
Joe, keep your voice down. Listen to me.
What's the matter?
Shh. The sheriff was here looking for you.
Sheriff? What'd he say?
Nothing much, except that your name wasn't really Joe Webster.
Yeah, well, look, I want...
No, I don't want to know any more about it. I don't care what you've done, Joe. Right now, you've got to get out of here.
Yeah, sure.
I told the sheriff you were probably hanging around town. You have to hurry because he'll probably be coming back.
I don't figure you at all.
Don't try to. Here, the key to my car. You can park it at the water stop north of town. There'll be plenty of freight trains.
Thanks.
And take this, Joe. $200. You'll need every cent of it.
I don't know why you're doing this, but thanks anyway.
Just call it a bonus, Joe. I'll go back to the office now in case the sheriff comes back.
Wait a minute. How am I going to get past that guard at the gate in your car? You might have been tipped off.
Don't worry, son. I'll take care of it. You'll get through. Now, hurry.
You leave him to finish dressing, slip out of the house, and hurry to the office. He fell for your act without any hesitation, didn't he, Paul? Exactly as you'd planned. And once he's out of the gate and on his way, your worries will be over. As you wait in the darkened office, you begin to wonder why Joe is taking so long. And then finally, you hear the car start up behind the house. A minute or so later, it races past the office. You wait another half minute and then pick up the phone and call the guard at the gate.
Main gate, Carter speaking. Hello? Main gate. Hello?
Quickly, you move across the office to the window. Hold your breath as you peer out into the darkness. Then you see them, the headlights on the highway. Your timing was perfect, wasn't it, Paul? Drawing the guard away from the gate to answer the phone made it possible for Joe to speed through without being stopped or questioned. Now there's only one thing left to do. You step to the telephone.
Sheriff's office, McHale speaking.
Sheriff, this is Paul Burns at the Silver Canyon Mine.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Mr. Burns?
There's been a robbery here. The safe's been cleaned out. Over $14,000.
What?
My car is gone, too. I guess that's what woke me up. I heard it start up.
Well, any idea who...
Yes. I'm afraid it's a young man I had working here in the office. Joe Webster. He's gone.
All right, Mr. Burns. Let me have the license number of your car. And don't worry. He won't get far.
The Whistler will return in just a moment with a strange ending to tonight's story. Meantime, a word to you drivers. While watching some Christmas shoppers this morning, the thought occurred to me, if people would only choose their gasoline as carefully as they select Christmas gifts, a lot more drivers would be using Signal gasoline. And for good reasons. One, of course, is Signal's good mileage, which has made Signal gasoline known throughout the Pacific Coast states from Canada to Mexico as the Go Farther gasoline. But equally important to you is the proud performance in today's Signal gasoline, which naturally goes hand in hand with mileage. After all, the only way today's Signal can give such good mileage is by helping your motor run more efficiently. And when your motor runs more efficiently, you also enjoy quicker starting, faster pickup, and smoother power, the things that make driving more pleasure. That's why Signal says, to be sure of all the things you expect of a quality gasoline, you have just two things to remember. One, in gasoline, it takes extra quality to go farther. And two, Signal is the famous Go Farther gasoline. And now back to the Whistler.
Yes, Paul. You're quite pleased with yourself, aren't you? As you sit in the mine office waiting for the news of Joe Webster's capture. News that will spell out your final victory. Then you can wake Edith. Tell her the shortage in the books has been covered, and you're certain she won't blame you. For Joe Webster, alias Joe Norbella, is wanted for murder anyway. And one more crime won't make much difference. It's true they'll never find the missing money. But as far as the company is concerned, it'll be accounted for. Then, shortly before dawn, a car grinds to a stop in front of the office. And a moment later, the sheriff enters.
Morning, Mr. Burns.
Morning. Did you get him, Sheriff?
Yep. Picked him up about an hour after you called.
Oh, you have no idea what a shock this is to me. I never dreamed he'd do such a thing.
Well, this may be another shock.
Huh?
You only had a couple of $100 on him.
A couple of $100, but there's more than 14,000.
Maybe he hid the rest somewhere. Don't worry. If he did, we'll find it.
I hope so.
Might interest you to know Joe Webster's wanted by the L.A. police on a murder charge.
Murder?
Mm-hmm. His real name's Norbella. Pretty smart operator, so they tell me. Yeah, he was a fool to try this, even with an accomplice.
Accomplice?
Yeah, we had to book both of them.
But Joe didn't have any...
Norbella claims he was framed. Says you gave him the $200.
He's lying.
Well, that's what I figured. Too bad, too, because if Norbella was framed, we might save his accomplice.
Why? If they were together, they were guilty.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. Too bad, though.
What do you mean?
Well, this is going to shock you, Mr. Burns. The accomplice I spoke of is your own daughter, Ruth. Says they were running away to be married.
Ruth? Married?
That's right. I know she's everything in the world to you.
Oh, no, Sheriff. Not Ruthie. She's innocent. I framed Joe Norbella. I gave him the $200. Sit down. I'll tell you the whole story.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Signal Oil Company has asked me to remind you that those Salvation Army kettles you'll be passing between now and Christmas will provide Yuletide cheer for over 1 million needy men, women, and children. Even a few pennies that you'll never miss will help to make this Christmas merrier for someone less fortunate. Featured in tonight's story were Jack Webb and Ed Begley. The Whistler was produced by George W. Allen and directed by Sterling Tracy, with story by Bernard Gerard and music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. Remember, at the same time next Sunday, another strange tale by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And now, stay tuned for the program that is rated tops in popularity for a longer period of time than any other West Coast program in radio history. The Signal Oil program, The Whistler. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invites you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night.
I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, the Whistler's strange story. Ski Master.
With the winter carnival approaching, Sylvana's skiing lodge in the Rocky Mountains was a beehive of activity, revolving about the handsome ski master, Carl Gordon. Carl was an American, but had spent many years in the Bavarian Alps. Following the close of World War II, he had returned to America and served as ski master at resorts on both coasts and in Canada. And now, Carl, you watch idly as gaily dressed sports lovers swarm through the lodge lobby, laughing, happy people from all over the world. Suddenly, your glance falls on a middle-aged man. He doesn't look like a sports enthusiast, does he, Carl? You watch him closely as he surveys the lobby with a look of disdain, and then hurries over to a striking young woman sitting in the corner. You edge closer, Carl, straining to hear.
Dr. Prentice, you here?
Yes, Florinda, I flew.
From New York?
Yes, I left the minute I read about your skiing accident.
And you came all the way across the country because you read that I'd hurt my ankle? Why, you darling.
Then it's not serious?
Why, not at all. The doctor in the village fixed it up very well.
Good. By the way, there was something else in the column.
Yes?
A mention of a romance between you and the local ski master.
Well, I don't see how that could have been printed. No one here knows anything about it. It's a secret between Carl and me.
A girl who has one of the largest fortunes in the country can have no secrets.
No, I'm afraid not.
But what about this romance? What's his name?
Carl Gordon, and I'm in love with him.
Carl Gordon? American, eh? Usually these ski instructors
Well, Carl spent a great deal of time in Bavaria during the war, also in Switzerland.
Yes. Tell me, Clorinda, does your father know?
No, I hope not. You know he'd try to stop it.
But what about this Gordon? Who is he? How do you know he isn't after your money?
Not Carl. I know he loves me, not my money.
I hope so. When do I meet him?
Well, right away. I'm sure he's around. Oh, Carl!
Yes, Miss Rogers.
Dr. Prentice, may I present Carl Gordon?
How do you do?
I'm honored, Dr. Prentice.
Dr. Prentice has just arrived, Carl. He's one of my father's oldest friends.
Oh? Have you come for the sports carnival, Doctor?
As a matter of fact, no. But I think I might remain.
Oh, Doctor, can you do that?
Oh, I think I can arrange it.
Then you shall give me away.
Give you away?
Yes, at my wedding. Carl and I are planning to be married during the carnival.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Doctor.
I suppose you are very happy about this.
Yes, indeed. I'm the happiest man in the world.
And you are happy, aren't you, Carl? At last, your dream is about to be realized. A wife with money, a big fortune. This is what you've been striving for all these years. Why you chose skiing as a profession in the first place. But things hadn't worked out as you planned, had they, Carl? No. Not after you married Frida, a beautiful country girl in Switzerland before the war. After the bombing of Munich came the news that Frida was killed. But that's all in the past, isn't it, Carl? Now you have a fine future as the husband-to-be of a very rich woman. And you're determined to let nothing spoil it. Later, when you meet Dr. Prentice in the bar, you try to avoid him.
Care for a drink, Mr. Gordon?
No, thank you, Doctor. I seldom drink.
But surely a glass of kirsch.
Well, all right, Doc, if you insist.
Waiter, 2 glasses of kirsch, please. I might as well come straight to the point, Mr. Gordon. What's this about your planning to marry Clorinda Rogers?
Oh, we're very much in love.
No doubt you think so. I've known Clorinda all her life. She's been engaged to half a dozen men.
Naturally. She's very lovely.
And very rich.
You're very unkind.
Clorinda's impressionable, fickle. She was in love with a music teacher when she was only a child. Her father sent him away. Then it was her tennis instructor, a golf pro, and a lifeguard.
I don't see how this concerns Miss Rogers and me.
She did not marry any of these men, Gordon. And she won't marry you.
I think she will.
No, she won't. Not if I can find a way to prevent it. And I certainly intend to.
The doctor's manner is infuriating, isn't it, Carl? And you wonder what he's going to do. He has a great influence on Clorinda, there's no doubt about that. And he'll probably try to prevent your being alone with her. The three of you are at dinner when Mr. Wood, the manager of the lodge, comes to your table.
You have nothing to worry about, Dr. Prentice. I've arranged for you to keep your room throughout the carnival.
Well, that's very nice of you. I realize how crowded you are.
Oh, now, don't mention it. No trouble is too great for a friend of Miss Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. You're very kind.
Is everything satisfactory?
Very. I must compliment you on the excellent service in spite of the crowd.
Thank you. Fortunately, the extra waitresses arrived this afternoon.
Yeah, they look quite colorful.
Yes. We always dress them in Bavarian costumes for the sports carnival. They're starting in a bit early this year. Now, if there's anything you want, anything at all.
Those Bavarian costumes are very effective, aren't they, Mr. Gordon?
Why, yes, Doctor, they are, in a way.
Oh, look, Carl. That girl over there. The one with the long blonde braids.
Oh?
She looks like a real Bavarian, doesn't she?
Yes. Yes, I suppose she does.
What's the matter, Carl? You aren't yourself tonight.
Oh, really? Well, I'm sorry. Perhaps I'm a bit tired.
Tired? With a physique like yours? Nonsense. Tell you the truth, Gordon. You act as if you'd just seen a ghost.
And you have seen a ghost, haven't you, Carl? The new waitress. The one with the long blonde braids. The resemblance is remarkable. A little older and thinner, perhaps, but so much the same. And you must know at once. Quickly you excuse yourself and leave the dining room. You take a short walk to steady your nerves. Later, you go to the back door of the kitchen where the waitresses will come out, restlessly pace up and down, remaining in the shadows. Finally, the girls come out in pairs, laughing and talking together as they go down the path to the servants' quarters. At last, she comes out, alone, the one with the blonde braids. You make sure that you aren't observed, and then you start down the path after her and call softly.
Frida. Frida.
Who is it? Did somebody call me?
Yes, Frida. I called you.
Oh, no. It isn't. It couldn't be.
Frida, be quiet.
But, Carl, it's you. It's you, my husband. Oh, Carl, I've found you at last.
Here in Hollywood, where The Whistler is produced, this was the week the movie folks awarded their coveted Oscars. Too bad there isn't an Oscar for gasoline, because I'm sure Signal gasoline would have run away with the honors for outstanding performance. Just as some actors become typed in certain roles, you may have typed Signal gasoline for economy because of its fame as the Go Farther gasoline. But economy, mind you, is only the beginning of Signal's story. The important thing is what makes Signal's good mileage possible. The fact that Signal gas helps your engine run so efficiently. For when your engine runs efficiently, you can depend on it to deliver an outstanding performance in any role. Quick starting, peppy pickup, smooth power. So if you want your car always to perform as if it had just won an Oscar, keep in mind that performance and mileage are like birds of a feather. They go together. To get both, get Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline. Well, Carl, things have taken a strange turn, haven't they? Just when your future seemed assured. Your marriage to wealthy Clorinda Rogers about to become a reality. Your wife, Frida, the wife you thought was dead, has turned up from the past. But you're not going to let anything interfere and spoil things, are you, Carl? No.
Somehow you must find a way out. Only you'll need time, won't you, to think things over and work out a plan. You'll stand almost petrified, staring at Frida as she continues to talk. Then...
But, Carl, you are so quiet. Why do you not say something?
Well, it's such a shock to me, Frida.
But a happy one, Carl.
Oh, yes, of course, but I thought you were dead, the bombing of Munich.
Our home was bombed. I lost everything, but I was saved. I was with the displaced persons. So long. You tried to find me, Carl?
Oh, of course, of course.
I tried hard to find you. I wrote everywhere, but no one knew of Carl Gruber.
Well, I changed my name to Carl Gordon.
But why?
Oh, it's easier to pronounce, more American. After all, Frida, I am an American.
Yes. So now I am Mrs. Carl Gordon. Mrs. Carl Gordon.
Hush, Frida, not so loud.
But why not?
Well, I'm the skiing master here. They want only single men for skiing masters in America.
Oh? But why?
Well, it's the custom. If anyone finds out we're married, I'll be fired. Now, you wouldn't want that, would you?
Oh, no, Carl, of course not.
You must act as though you've never seen me before. Can you do that?
I will try.
Good. And we can both keep our jobs and work hard and save our money.
So that we can be together, always.
Yes, Frida. Always.
You will come to my cabin, Carl? There it is, the one way in the back.
Yes, Frida, but not tonight. I'm busy.
But when, Carl?
Tomorrow night, after dinner. Say, about 10.
I will be waiting. Good night, Carl.
Well, Carl, one thing is clear. Frida hasn't changed. She'll never let you go, will she? But you have until tomorrow night to think things out. And you feel certain that she won't talk. But you'll have to be careful, very careful. Make certain Frida doesn't see you with Clorinda Rogers. You know Frida's jealousy, the bitter quarrels in the past over your attentions to other women. So the next morning you carefully avoid Clorinda. But later she finds you on the terrace.
Oh, Carl, darling. Well, where have you been all morning?
Giving lessons.
I've missed you.
Well, now you have the company of your friend, Dr. Prentice.
But I'm not so sure that he is my friend, Carl.
What makes you think that, dear?
Now, Carl, you won't get angry. You won't think that I'm a child tied to apron strings.
What is it, Clorinda? You can tell me.
Well, you're going to meet someone. My friend, as you call him, Dr. Prentice. He arranged this.
Arranged what?
For my father to come here for the sports carnival, Dr. Prentice says. And Father hates winter sports. Dr. Prentice just sent for him to try to break up our marriage.
No one can do that. Where is he, Clorinda? Your father?
Oh, you're not angry then?
Not at all.
Oh, darling, it's going to be all right. At the first possible opportunity, we'll drive into the village and we'll get our marriage license.
Right. But now, Clorinda, shouldn't you introduce your fiancé to your father?
Yes, of course, Carl. Father and Dr. Prentice, well, they're in the cocktail lounge. Come along, darling.
Clorinda, I must say you've been keeping something from me. Had I known such places as this existed.
It is fun, isn't it, Father? And I'm so pleased that you approve of Carl.
Huh? Yes.
You seem quite captivated by the atmosphere of Sylvana Lodge, sir.
Yes, he even surprises me on that score.
I dare say, Doctor.
Yes, beautiful view out this window, don't you think, Clorinda? Very much like Bavaria.
Yes, Father.
Bavaria. I understand you've been there, Carl.
Yes, I have.
You watch me from the top. No, I will go down, Carl. Here I go.
Frida, you hurt.
I don't know. Oh, how stupid of me to fall.
What happened?
Carl, I will never be able to ski anymore.
You can walk.
Yes. Yes, I think so. You will help me up, Carl?
Yes, dear. I'll help you. Now, look, Frida, if you can make it all right, we'd better go back separately. There's a shortcut just around that turn. You go that way, huh?
I understand. We don't want you to be fired.
You are all right now.
Oh, yes, Carl. I'm all right now.
That's fine.
This is my day off. I can rest. I will stay in my cabin all day.
That's a good idea, Frida. Yes, stay in your cabin all day. Mr. Wood.
Oh, hello, Carl.
Miss Rogers wants me to go to the village with her this afternoon.
Anything to please Miss Rogers?
We'll be gone a few hours.
But it's starting to snow. There may be a storm.
I know. We're going to use the sleigh.
Oh, well, fine.
Oh, by the way, would you mind not mentioning to anyone where we've gone?
Of course not, if Miss Rogers doesn't want it known.
No, she doesn't. Oh, and before I forget it, I'm afraid I did a very stupid thing.
Yes?
Well, I got a ski outfit and skis for that new German waitress.
Frieda Gruber?
Yeah, I shouldn't have done it. She's good. She's very good, but well, she's just not in shape.
No, I suppose not. Well, she'd just better take it easy.
And she's very reckless, too. She doesn't know the country. I saw her this morning near Thunder Cliff.
Thunder Cliff? She mustn't go near there. There are signs all over the place.
Yeah, there are signs, but she may not understand them. You know, we phrase things so differently in America.
Yes, well, you just talk to her, Gordon. Explain exactly what they mean so there will be no mistake. And tell her that she must not go skiing alone.
All right, I will, Mr. Wood. I'll make it very clear to her.
Yes, do that. But Thunder Cliff. Carl, it's absolute suicide, and an accident right now positively ruin the sports carnival.
Well, Carl, you've made one more step in your plan, haven't you? A reasonable explanation for the accident at Thunder Cliff. And the storm has played into your hands, too. The snow will cover your tracks. Late that night, after you and Clorinda returned from the village, where you went for a marriage license, you slip into Frieda's cabin. She's sleeping a deep, heavy sleep. You put a pillow over her face. It's all over quickly. And you look through the cabin for anything else which might connect you with her. The rest of your plan is more difficult, but you finally accomplish it. And 2 hours later, Frieda's body, dressed in a ski suit, is at the bottom of Thunder Cliff. In the morning, when you go into the lobby, there's an air of tension, as if something had happened. The sheriff and a couple of members of the ski patrol are at the desk with Mr. Wood.
Carl, will you come here a moment, please?
Well, certainly, Mr. Wood.
Carl, that German waitress, did you talk to her about skiing alone?
Well, yes, I did, Mr. Wood. I made it very plain.
Well, she didn't take your advice, and it's cost her life.
No. What's happened, Sheriff?
The girl went over the edge of Thunder Cliff. Her body was found at the bottom. It was obviously an accident. Yeah, I guess we'd better fill out the accident report.
Every person who owns a car should know about what has been called the greatest improvement in automobile batteries in 20 years. An improvement which is now yours to enjoy in Signal Deluxe batteries. I'm referring to micro-porous all-rubber separators, which not only permit freer flow of acid between the plates, but are themselves impervious to the action of the acid. As a result, new Signal Deluxe batteries deliver up to 35% more power, plenty to run your car radio and all the other electrical gadgets on today's cars. In addition, new Signal Deluxe batteries last so long, they're guaranteed not just for the usual 12 or 18 months, but for a full 30 months on a service basis. That makes the cost per month so low, you're actually saving money while enjoying the extra power and dependability of a Signal Deluxe battery. So before you buy any battery, get your Signal dealer's trade-in offer for your old battery. Find out his convenient credit terms. Prove for yourself that today's best battery buy is today's finest battery. The new improved Signal Deluxe battery at Signal service stations. It went very simply and smoothly, didn't it, Carl? The body of your wife, Frieda, was found at the bottom of Thunder Cliff. The sheriff considers it an accident. And now nothing stands in the way of your marriage to wealthy Clorinda Rogers. You're helping the sheriff to fill out the accident report when Dr. Prentice comes up.
This is Dr. Prentice, Sheriff. Good. We need your help, Doctor. There's been an accident.
An accident? I'll get my bag and be with you right away.
No, it's too late for that. The accident was fatal. That new German waitress was skiing and went over a cliff.
Surely you don't mean Frida Gruber?
Yes, Doctor. It's just terrible.
It's impossible. The girl couldn't have gone skiing.
Well, she did, and she was very reckless. Well, Carl here warned her.
That's right, Doctor.
The girl had a displaced kneecap, an old injury. She hurt it again skiing yesterday morning. She called me last night, said she didn't want the lodge physician to know anything about it. Asked me not to mention it.
Doesn't seem likely she'd go skiing with a bad knee.
Not only that, she was in great pain. I gave her a strong sedative. She couldn't have wakened naturally before noon.
Then someone awakened her, took her out to the cliff, pushed her over?
I see no other explanation, Sheriff.
But who'd want to do that? Did she have any enemies here, Miss Wood?
No. She was a displaced person. She just arrived. She knew no one here and talked very little.
Who did she talk to? You, Gordon?
Well, we only talked on the subject of skiing, Sheriff. I warned her at Mr. Wood's request.
Did she say anything to you, Dr. Prentice, about anyone wanting to kill her?
Of course not. And she didn't seem to be the sort of girl who would make enemies. She was naive, sweet, so happy about being in America.
Well, sure beats me.
Seemed very anxious to learn American customs. Oh, that reminds me. She made a rather amusing request.
Well, what was it?
Well, she gave me a letter that arrived for her yesterday. Insisted I have Mr. Wood put it in the hotel safe. She had the quaint idea that everything was kept in a safe in America.
Well, what's this? Maybe throw some light on the matter.
It is. Right here. It's apparently forwarded to her from some refugee association. I doubt if it'll be any help.
Well, I'll take a look. Dear Madam, we are pleased to inform you that we have finally located your missing husband. He is working as skiing instructor at Sylvana Lodge, Colorado, under the name of Carl Gordon.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at the same time. Meantime, Signal Oil Company and the friendly independent dealers who help you go farther with Signal gasoline hope you'll remember. Regardless of what gasoline you use, you'll enjoy more miles of happy driving. If you drive at sensible speeds, obey traffic regulations, and avoid taking chances, you may even save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Gerald Moore, Isabel Jewell, Gladys Holland, Ed Begley, John Daner, and Herb Butterfield. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by George Adrian and Carol Nix, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler is entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Remember to tune in at this same time next Sunday when the Signal Oil Company will bring you another strange story by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil Company. Stay tuned now for our Miss Brooks starring Eve Arden, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is the CBS Radio Network.